My man jinxed us, yo.
Here we go, man. Welcome to the post-game show, live presented by Freeman Mazda. Freeman Mazda of Irving, Texas has been family-owned and operated for over 60 years. They have new inventory arriving daily, including the new 2021 Mazda CX-5. And as you guys know, I drive the Mazda 6, but I'm not too excited to talk about driving my Mazda 6 tonight. But that's okay. Listen, guys, if you want to, look into buying a Mazda, which I think they drive pretty dang going well. Not as good as apparently the Chiefs did today, but stop by Freeman Mazda in Irving, Texas, or go to freemanmazda.net. Welcome to the show, guys. Jesse Holley, Skywalker Still, Game Day Live, post-game show. The Chiefs win 19-9 in a game that I did not expect to go this way, but isn't that how it usually goes? You expect a shootout, a 28-24, or 38-31, something crazy, and you get 19-9.
Yep.
You get a game where two of the most prolific passers in the league right now throw 0 touchdowns. You get a game where combined they have 4 turnovers.
Yep.
And it was just ugly all around. And we'll get to the small silver lining, but right now there is nothing to be excited about probably right at this second. But overall thoughts, Jesse, on the game here. 19-9 loss to the Chiefs.
Bottom line for me, Cowboys didn't show up. Cowboys didn't show up. This game was on, and you know what?
When they win,
I have a rule.
When they
win, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
When they win, you can talk, you can gloat. I got no qualms with you, my brother.
None.
Do what you do. Congratulations to you. But for me, the Cowboys didn't show up. This was a game that was circled on the calendar, and this was a game that people were looking for. The Cowboys were looking for. I'm at the Star 5 days a week, and you felt the energy. You heard the conversations.
Yeah.
You heard people talk about it. And they didn't show up. From play one, they were off. And no knock against Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is extremely talented. I think he is one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. I believe he's in that upper echelon of quarterbacks in the National Football League. But we talked about it in the pregame. There's this room with these elite quarterbacks inside of it. And the reason why I can't haven't let Dak Prescott in that room just yet is because you want to see moments like this. And he's had some very historical moments. But it's moments like this in the season where your team is playing well, where you're playing against one of the best teams in the league. You're playing against one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you don't show up. You don't show up, and you don't give your team every opportunity to win. And I know people are going to say, well, you were down. I watched Aaron Rodgers win a game a couple weeks ago without two of his top targets, with missing offensive linemen, and go and win a football game. And I get it. Some of those guys dropped the ball, and some of those guys didn't make plays.
I was about to say, this is a total letdown offensively. It's not just Dak, but you're pointing out Dak.
But you have to start there.
No, Jesse.
If we give Dak Prescott the credit, and I'm not knocking him, but if we give him the praise for when things are going right, when things don't go right, and I get it, they dropped some passes. But he had a ton of missed throws.
He did. This is where I disagree. We said it starts there. It starts up front. They got booked. Jesse.
It starts with 4. This isn't the first time he's dealt with people not having the proper offensive line. Like, this is we're not going to make excuse because they had offensive linemen that were out.
Dak Prescott
This happens
play well.
This happens every single year. You know Tyron Smith's going to miss at least 2 or 3 football games.
Jesse.
You know that you're going to have to shuffle around. We're not the only team in this league that misses offensive linemen, and they're still able to produce.
I'm talking about this game. This is the first time in 3 years Dak has been sacked and pressured this much. That's
He was
where it
pressured this
starts
much
to
2
me.
weeks ago.
No, he was not. They
Against Denver.
said it. They just said it. He was only sacked twice in that game.
And I'm telling you, he was sacked in this game.
5 times.
5 times.
And
Since Atlanta?
2017 was Atlanta, but 3 years. That's where it starts for me in this game. In this game, it starts up front. They couldn't get anything going on the ground. They couldn't get anything going in the passing game. And when you can't block, right? When you can't block, now we asked for Micah to be Herculean. Now Dak has to be Herculean. He wasn't. He wasn't.
And he wasn't.
Right after that, I will say Dak Prescott. Even though the receivers or whatever, we're going to talk about that all week. They were. I don't think I've ever seen them this down in regards to skill players in the game in the second half. But it doesn't matter. The game was still in reach, and nobody not one single person, maybe sans Tony Pollard, could step up. And where I'm going to get on Dak Prescott is, if there's one person I would like to see step up in that situation, it's number 4, and he didn't get it done. 28 for 43, 216 yards. The last interception gave him 2 interceptions on the day. And let me give a hat tip to Chris Jones. He was absolutely dominant today. I think he had 4 sacks and then a tip ball. Where we at here? Chris Jones. They only got him down 3.5 sacks. So 3.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, the tip ball, a forced fumble, and a fumble. Absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage.
And he was doing that all across the board because one
Zach
of his
Martin
plays, he whooped up on Zach Martin. And this is who is arguably the best guard in all of football. And Chris Jones was going up and down that line and saying, I'm gonna tear you up, I'm gonna tear you up, I'm gonna tear you up. And the Cowboys did not match the intensity of the moment. They didn't match the intensity of the Chiefs in this game today. And this is why you see them on the losing end 19-9 against the Kansas City Chiefs up in Kansas City and Arrowhead.
And what's disappointing is, I said this to you before we came on, like I look at the defense, and again, I'm like, come on, guys. Your defense, if you would have told me coming to this game, the Kansas City Chiefs would have 19 points with 6 minutes left, I'd be like, really? The Cowboys would have had 2 turnovers, a pick and a sack fumble. They would have sacked Patrick Mahomes 3 times. I would have said, did the Cowboys score 30? 9 points. I put this entire game solely on the offense side of the ball. I know that's not right? The team should, stop them when you stop them, but they did that. 6 points they gave up after the first quarter. I'm sorry. I got to give a hat tip to the defense today.
I won't go as far as giving a hat tip to the entire defense. I think there are some pieces of the defense that played well, and that biggest piece being Micah Parsons, who was absolutely just a ferocious, dominant beast, rushing and getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes all day and just getting him off his spot. But again, Anthony Brown, they're playing a lot of off coverage. Diggs playing a lot of off coverage. Guys like how do you lose Travis Kelce in space?
That was
like how do you lose Travis Kelce there is 87.
Never.
We should know where he's at all times. You don't lose guys like that. So to give the entire defense, Leighton Vander Esch looked like he was running in mud. And now granted, Kansas City is just a fast football team, and sometimes they can make you look,
especially on that grass. If they look fast, imagine if it was turf, they would have been turned up turbo.
Exactly.
But they're already fast on grass, and if you're not fast, you're going to look like you're in mud.
And that was the biggest thing for me, that there were parts of the defense that played big, and there was parts of the defense that had good nights. But overall, for me, this defensive performance wasn't a good defensive performance. The Chiefs kind of got what they wanted when they wanted it. They had over 100 yards rushing. They had over 250 yards passing. Like those are benchmarks. When you're a defense, you go into a game and you say, hey, guys, we can't give up over 250 yards passing. Well, that happened today. Hey, guys, we can't give over 100 yards rushing. Well, that happened today. And the Chiefs kind of,
But if you say that, right, or if you go into the game and say if you give up 250 yards, 100 yards rushing, but if I flip that and say if I go into the game against a high-flying offense and they only scored 19, I sacked them 3 times, I get an interception and a forced fumble, and I get the ball on their side of the field, I think it was inside the 40 or 30, 3 times, you would say that's a damn good performance. I'm not saying it was an exceptional performance, right? Because what happened? This is the reason why I didn't want to punt the ball when it was 8 minutes left. This is still a great offense, so they can go in, they can drive down and score or clock it, and that's what they did. They clocked it. So I can't call it dominant. I can't call it great, but I think there was the only reason you had a shot.
There was. They were. And I never thought the Chiefs never felt threatened. Like, the Chiefs never felt like we got to go because here they come. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, so you say we're only 19 points. I just thought the Chiefs were like, we'll take it. Whatever you give us, we'll take it because we don't have to force the issue to score a ton of points. Because there was never, and you tell me, was there any point in time in this football game where you just like, man, we on the Chiefs. We're on them. Like, I just never, the Chiefs always felt in control to me from start to finish of this football game. There was never a moment in time, maybe after the Jaron Kershaw interception, I was like, okay, here we go.
Was that the end of the half?
That might have been the third. Was it the end of the half? Yes.
No, that was opening the third quarter.
Right. So I'm like, okay, here we go. But then it turned right back into the Chiefs' favor.
I was going to say the only moment that I thought that, okay, this could be something was the drive where I thought it should have been a pass interference on the 1 yard line. They didn't get it because they were moving the ball. They, pocket was clean. Dak delivered it there, no flag. And I'm like, if it was a flag there, you're talking about a totally different game. Right. But other than that, no, absolutely not. I said it in the first half. Your offense did not help your defense out at all. And I think what happened was, when we said it, Spagnuolo was like, okay, I got confidence in my guys over here. I'm not going to switch up what I'm doing outside with these corners. And it's kind of the reverse of what Dallas has been doing all year. Dallas's offense has been putting pressure on opposing teams' defense. Because the Chiefs' defense was not giving up anything, yeah, the Chiefs' offense didn't feel the pressure to score in a sense, but they felt Patrick felt the pressure. He was.
Oh yeah.
They were pushing him off his spots, and I have to. This is why I got to give him credit. No Tank, no Randy Gregory, right? No Neville Gallimore, no Brent Urban, and that defensive line came up and showed up today, and I got to really give him credit. They took him off his spot. Now, were they perfect? No, not at all. 6-minute drive to end the game. We said the game was over after they converted the third down, but that's like the only tiny silver lining. But what did I say coming into this game? I'm not giving moral victories. Your moral victory came week 1.
There's no such thing as moral victories. Those aren't real. Those don't exist. Moral victories don't exist. You win or you lose.
Yeah,
period.
But you get one of those games where you say, okay, but I can't. That's it. You had one. I'm not going to give you a bunch of okay games.
Right.
You lost 3 games this year, and 2 of them were stinkers. This was a stinker.
Yeah.
Flat out, this was a stinker, man.
And this is the Cowboys have averaged at least 2 touchdowns in every single football game. They didn't get to the end zone once.
Not one time.
Not one time did they get in the end zone today. Kicked 3 field goals today. And that's just, again, I said coming into this week, one of the reasons why Kansas City's defense wasn't playing well earlier in the year was because their offense didn't give them a lot. And when their offense is giving them points, their defense is allowed to play more free, more carefree, and just to go and run, hit, and talk.
What does that sound like?
Right, and that's why I'm going to that point now. Is the same thing for the Cowboys. Is that offensively you got to go out there and do what you have to do, and there's enough blame to go around. But this is one of those games where I think I'm more disappointed than anything. Because
I'm disappointed in the offense.
I was looking for this to be a signature moment for Kellen Moore, another signature moment for Dak Prescott. When you have these, we talked about it. This was
it's a statement
my
game,
AI Jordan moment, right? This was my moment to go up against who they consider to be the best, or at least one of the 2 or 3 top best in the league. This was my moment to go toe to toe with that dude and make a claim that, you know what, hey, open that elite category door. I need to be in that room. And this offense didn't show up today.
So do you have concerns moving forward on Thursday against the Raiders?
Yes. And the reason being is you'll probably get back Tyron Smith, but you'll most definitely be without.
You might be without C.D. Lamb
You're going to be out with Amari Cooper. And if it's a concussion, we're not.
Yeah, we didn't even bring that up. C.D. Lamb.
C.D. Lamb left the game at the end of the first half on the interception in the end zone, banged his head, concussion. Now this is the bad part about having that Sunday, Thursday night, because now your turnaround is 4 days.
He's not playing. I can't see it happen.
And that's the thing is are you going to be symptom free enough for them to feel comfortable for you playing a Thanksgiving game? And we saw we saw what that receiver by committee was today without Amari Cooper and then without CeeDee Lamb. When you have to now march that out into the field, and now your starters will probably be Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, and then you'll have Malik Turner as number 4. And who do you also bring up? Simi Fehoko?
Probably will have to bring up Simi. I mean, you almost have to, right?
Right.
Yeah, Simi.
So that's your 5. That's your 5 going into that game on Thursday night. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Cowboys. My hope and prayer is that CD is fine and that he'll be able to give you something on Thursday. But the likelihood of him being able to come out of concussion protocol in basically 3 days, 4 days.
I don't see it.
It's going to be tough.
I don't see it. I think I need to know what's going on with Tyron Smith. If Tyron Smith plays, this is 2 games now we've seen. Like he's important to this offense. He's extremely important. He's the second most important player on this probably entire team. When you think about it, well, Micah's starting to get up there now, right?
Right.
Micah is he's just ridiculous. But if you get Tyron Smith back and now your quarterback can have time, I think Dak Prescott can find guys, right? It has to be one of those things where the offensive line, running game has to get going, and that helps out your quarterback, et cetera, and it trickles down to the entire team. But if you got no Tyron Smith, let me tell you somebody right now, and this is kind of looking forward ahead here. Max Crosby could end up having a field day a la Chris Jones and I get it, it's at home, if they don't get their act together, as Jerry Jones would say. So Tyron Smith is going to, determine my confidence level going into that game. I still think the Cowboys can get it done, and again, we're going ahead of terms. But my concern going into that game is offensive line. I just don't think they played not even average. They played poorly. And I know we want people to be Herculean, but again, we saw that same quarterback that we're trying to, get through the door for Dak Prescott have this same situation against a Super Bowl team. And what did that team do to him? Made him look pedestrian.
Right.
And he couldn't get it done by himself. And here's the worst part. He had Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and all these other guys. Not the case on the other side. So if you can't block it up front and you don't got the guys out on the outside, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Good luck. If I'm Spags, what? I'm not coming out of this aggressiveness. And he didn't. And that's the smart move to play. So if I'm the Raiders, and it's funny because I make fun of the blueprint, but I know what the blueprint is now, Jesse. Is Tyron out? Cool. Are your receivers hampered? Yes. I'm playing man, and I'm coming to get Dak Prescott because I know your offensive line can't hold up. That's the blueprint. Not saying that that's going to work all the time because those guys are going to be in, right? Tyron's going to play. Coop's going to play. Lamb's going to play. But if they're not, which could be the case on Thursday, blueprint is there.
Yeah, no.
It's there.
And honestly, that's with any quarterback. If you can get pressure on your quarterback and get him off the spot, Dak Prescott was uncomfortable all day long.
All day.
All day long. Spags made him uncomfortable. Spag rushed the process, and they got home to him. And when you get sacked 5 times, like that's a lot. And you
5 times and 2 fumbles.
Right, and you always hear about, hey, we want to keep this guy upright. We want to keep him clean. That didn't happen today. That didn't happen today. And you and I, we were talking about, there was one play where in the first half, CD came open on the post route. And you said, "Ooh, throw that." And I said, yeah, he came open.
It was too late.
It was too late.
When they showed the replay,
when they showed the replay, it's like he barely got that pass off to the flat. And it was an incomplete pass, but that pass was open, but the pressure was so much on him, he didn't have time to step in and make that pass down the field. And so that may be the blueprint. It may be, hey, if Tyron's not out, or if you find some sort of,
that's definitely the blueprint.
You find some sort of inconsistency in that offensive line. And another thing, a short week, trying to get those reps for Tyron, get that consistency. The offensive line is one of the only positions to me who needs that continuity and those repetitions together because of the communication, because of the passing things off to one another, to being able to know what are your strengths, so that if I'm Tyron Smith, I know that you struggle when you have to set, or you struggle when you have to pass block, or you struggle when you have to do X, Y, and Z, and I can play off of that. But when you don't practice together and you have a short week, and even when you don't have a short week, you barely practice in full pads. So now that you're having a short week, and you won't be – everything I can tell you from factual knowledge, they won't put a pad on this week. Everything will be primarily walkthrough.
But do you think because of the caliber player that's coming back in Tyron Smith that can be mitigated after a few series, or does it matter play to play? Doesn't matter if you're Tyron or if you're Terrence Steele.
Yeah, no, I think Tyron with his skill set can definitely catch up quicker.
Yeah.
But we saw tonight what happened when we didn't score on the first drive, and then they came down and score. The game was already kind of in the hands of Kansas City, and we never kind of caught up to our momentum. So does it take Tyron Smith 2 series, 3 series to get right? 4 series? What is it? And then the thing is that on the other side, is your defense playing well enough where you aren't giving up points to the Raiders and making you now have to play catch up?
And that's why I keep going back to it. Even though there was 30-6 or whatever it was, or 30-13 against the Denver Broncos, that game, I kept saying it, that game, the defense kept giving you a chance. Mm-hmm. They just kept giving you a chance, but the offense couldn't convert. Same thing here. The defense did give you chances. They got stops. You're talking about the game when it was 13-3, and then they get an interception, and Dak throws an interception, or the end of the half when it was a fumble, and Dak throws it. They gave you chances to get in this game. So I eerily feel confident that the defense can stick around, but I can't believe I'm questioning the offense. But no CD, no Mari Cooper, and if there's no Tyron Smith, we've now seen it is a real concern.
Yes.
It goes beyond wide receiver by committee. It's wide receiver by committee, and it's offensive line by committee. And let's talk about the guy next to Terrence Steele or Tyron Smith. Now, the tape, you have to go back and watch the tape. But he was beat a few times a day, I think, by Chris Jones and everybody else. It seemed like the whole offensive line was compromised by that defensive line. But the one concern I had up there, I told you, I said, when Tyron Smith was supposed to play, I felt better about it.
Right.
Because you're next to Tyron Smith. When it's Terrence Steele, I said he's never played in this kind of environment against that kind of team. On that side, that is an entirely different ball game. And right off the bat, Terrence Steele doesn't move. And you give up a sack, and you just saw, okay, looks like it's going to be that kind of day. And every single last person got whipped. I don't know about Biotish, but Terrence got beat. McGovern got beat. Collins got beat. Zach Martin got beat. I'm pretty sure Biotish eventually got beat. I just don't know. So everybody got whipped up and down the line of that scrimmage. And do you go back in and say, do you reevaluate Connor Williams, or do you look at this as a tough position? Or Connor McGovern, I'm sorry.
If you go back in and you're reevaluating Connor McGovern, you screwed up as a coaching staff.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you royally effed it up. Because to make this move, to make a move, it's like when you make that switch, you better be darn sure this is the switch that you're going with forward unless an injury occurs, because switching back makes you look like a fool. And if you thought that Connor McGovern was going to be the better of the two or give you a better chance, then you go there and you stay
Stick
there.
with it for at least a few games.
But if you do this whole back and forth thing, again, it messes with the continuity. It messes with the mental makeup of those players. And it makes you look bad as a coaching staff.
Yeah.
Now, if there's injury involved,
then you have no choice.
we have no choice. We got to go back to the situation. But after one game, you decide, you know what, we're going back to Connor Williams. Then you screwed up, coaching staff. You didn't evaluate this properly. You didn't look good in how you approach this thing. And one thing I also want to talk about that happened in this game, I think across the board, we knew coming to play the Kansas City Chiefs, you had to be not perfect, but damn near close.
Especially compromise.
With your alignments, with your assignments, with your technique. And when you're supposed to get home or make a play or get home. And early in this football game, I pointed out to you several times, he's supposed to have outside containment. He went inside, Patrick Mahomes got outside. A running back got outside.
Earlier in the game was
Earlier
bad,
in the game. And so, again, these are the moments where they're scoring points and they're keeping you on the field. And that defense isn't made to be on the field for long stretches. So when you have a chance to get off, you can't go inside when you're supposed to have containment. You can't be outside of your gap when you're supposed to be inside of an A gap or a B gap or a C gap, whatever that may be. If you're supposed to be somewhere in the zone, be there in that zone. Don't go looking and fishing for something else that you're not supposed to be doing. And this Cowboys team had penalties. They had untimely penalties. They had pre-snap penalties. They got into this whole little junk after the play penalties. They did not play a solid football game, a disciplined football game. I thought that also was a reason why they came out on the losing end of the football game today.
Yeah, I'm looking at the series here. It's so frustrating because even with the way, like I said, even with the way the game was going, you got to a point where, and I believe they only scored one touchdown. Now I think about it, it seemed like they scored twice. No, they did score 2 touchdowns. Okay, after that second touchdown, the game is 16-3. They won the Chiefs offense. Punt, fumble, half, obviously. Interception, punt, field goal, missed field goal. The whole entire time, it's 19-6. It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating watching this and knowing that you had a chance in this game, man. And nobody on that offensive side of the ball could figure it out. The only person that it seemed like was getting going, and I was kind of harping back in my head to, you remember Lance Dunbar?
Yeah.
There was a game where Des Bryant went out against the Giants, first game of the year actually, and Lance Dunbar had 10 or 11 receptions out the backfield. It was at a point where I'm like, just throw the ball to Tony Pollard. Right. I mean, Tony Pollard was the only one seeming to make people miss and getting explosive plays. Just get the ball to TP. And again, this is another thing we'll talk about throughout the week on our show. I was kind of getting really annoyed with the first down runs. The first down runs were not working in this game.
Right.
Absolutely not working. So how do you help yourself when the run game doesn't get going? Long handoffs we talk about, right? Get those short things out. And they did try with some of those they tried to pick.
Right.
And they just couldn't get going. So nothing was working offensively. And you said disappointed. I'm mostly disappointed with the offense side of the ball. There's context, with the players that are out. But at the end of the day, it's a bottom line business, right? And nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. You had a chance. It's 9-19. You have a chance. 6-19. You got a chance to get it done, and they didn't do it.
No, and they didn't. And we also talked about, this is the moment for Kellen Moore. You want to put some respect in your name, and you came to me and you said, This game early on is not the Kellen Moore game that we've seen before. They were stationary. They were doing a lot of just basic stuff. There was no movement. There was nothing that was happening that looked like what we saw before that gave the Cowboys the advantage, the motions, the shifts, the things that got other defenses off kilter, and you were able to find those guys. When you had CeeDee Lamb was still in that lineup.
CeeDee Lamb's still there, and they weren't getting him involved.
And they weren't getting involved. And you said this isn't the offense that Kellen Moore has been showing us all year long. And it just felt like this group was tight. It felt like this group was tight. It felt like Kellen Moore was tight. And when things got bad, you start looking around as for someone to make a play. And no one was able to do it. They weren't able to call a play to make somebody make a play, and guys weren't able to make a play when it came time to make a play. And they tried it. They tried to get some passes down the field. It was broken up. It was intercepted. There was drops. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes that happened both offensively and defensively, but most importantly on the offensive side because this team goes as far as offense takes it.
Yeah, I think this one is going to sting the confidence of the Cowboys. Or I mean, they're players, right? You guys got to get over it. You got 24 hours. Definitely now.
Got to get over it now.
24 hours and got to move. But, I mean, it definitely does sting the confidence a little bit, probably in the fan base, because this was one of those big-time games. There's a lot of checkmark games we had this year, and they actually won just about all those checkmark games. But there was 2 statement games.
Yeah.
Week 1.
Yep.
And today.
Yep.
They're 0-2. They're 0-2 in statement games. And I mean, how can you come out of this, saying against the good teams, in the big moments, they can get it done. They haven't gotten it done. So now you go back to week 1, what I said coming out of that game, Dallas, you got to show me. You've had 2 opportunities this year. Now you got the schedules coming up. You go to New Orleans, you got the Raiders, and that's cool. They're cute little games or whatever. You should handle business. You got another statement game coming in later in the season, but if we get there and they're just mowing through teams that they should win, do you feel like, okay, this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get you.
I'm not going to lie. This definitely makes me have to pause. It has to. 2 games now. Context absolutely matters. But there's a lot of games. A lot of things can happen that could mess up that context. The silver lining is a lot of those guys should be returning by that time. And I said this to Nick. I said if the defense performs the way they did against the top, because that was my concern. Top quarterbacks always get at these defenses. If they could come out here and hold these good offenses and good quarterbacks to this kind of performance, if you get back a healthy squad, then I feel much better. But if they're compromised on the offensive line in the playoffs or at the end of the year, I'm concerned.
And the thing that, one of the things that compromises this team is this COVID thing doesn't go away. Like this, and let me be very clear when I say this. We're heading into the holiday season where family and friends begin to come around. And I remember being a player. Most of these guys aren't from here. So what does that mean? Not go home. Everyone comes to you.
Okay.
Everyone comes to you. They're at your house. You're gathering at your crib now. Like all that kind of stuff. You're out Christmas shopping. You're doing your charitable donation stuff. So around this time of the season, this is when more people are at your house. You're doing more things in the community. So we're not past this COVID thing. And we don't, because everyone says, it's my private information, I don't want to tell anybody. We don't know who's vaccinated. We don't know who's unvaccinated. And we may face another situation. I pray that we don't.
Yeah.
But just being realistic, up until that, and you said it in the pregame, you practiced all week with a game plan that included Amari Cooper.
That's another. Yeah.
You practiced all week that included a game plan that
day
was,
to adjust.
That was probably centered around Amari Cooper going, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to call everything off of Amari Cooper. Oh, by the way, at 5:30, he's not playing.
He's not playing.
And now you got to revamp everything that you do while you're going on the road.
I'm about to say, while you're flying out.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're not away from this COVID thing.
And it's a real problem in Dallas because they have been hit with the COVID the most in the league.
Yeah.
So this isn't one of those, oh, well, we've had the least cases. There's only 2, so something is working out. Something is not working out what's going on in Dallas, where last year it seemed to be a close-knit thing. I don't know if it's the new protocols. I don't know. I'm not in tune with all that.
I think it's the lack thereof. I think when you get more and more into it, and the more lax. See, last year they made a commitment to each other and said, "Hey, we're gonna bubble up."
Weren't they in the Omni all the time or something like that?
We're gonna bubble up and live in the Omni. That's how we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna bubble up and live in the Omni and give ourselves the best chance to win. This year, everyone's back home. You're doing your own thing. Some guys are vaccinated. Some guys aren't vaccinated. But you ain't just sitting in the crib. Nor should you. I'm not saying being a prisoner. I'm not condemning you to the house and saying you can't go anywhere. What I'm saying is that you have to be safe in what you do.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys, as you know, football players think they're what? They think they're Superman. They think that they're, impenetrable against things happening to them. And this Cowboys team has been affected the most. Whether you like it or not, this COVID thing is not going anywhere.
You talked about it.
And it's not going anywhere. And so we have to keep that in the back of our mind, too. It's like, man, when we get to the Arizona game, when we get close to the playoffs, are we going to lose our quarterback, our running back? Is Tyron ain't caught COVID yet. Is he going to catch? Is Micah going to catch?
Yeah.
So in addition to, hopefully getting guys back and injuries happen every single week, I'm not wishing that on anybody. There's this unknown mystery monster that's just sitting around the corner.
Absolutely crush your team.
Crush your team.
Yeah.
Depending, now if it's a backup guy, then we'll live with that. But if it's one of your starters, one of your key contributors, your quarterback, your left tackle, you're starting, Micah Parsons or something like that, that can crush you. And these games,
we witnessed it.
And these games are only going to get more and more crucial as the year goes on, because you're going to need wins to hopefully get a better seeding. We want to get first place, but those things happen.
Let's take a look at the standings now after that game. I believe did the Cardinals get the victory today?
They did.
Okay, so
Kyler Murray.
Nope.
No Kyler Murray today, and they beat Seattle. What's up, my guy? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, Seattle's real bad this year. Let's look at the playoff race right now in the NFC. The Cowboys with that loss still stay at the third place. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in fourth. The Green Bay Packers lost. This would have been great because if the Cowboys won, it would have been number 2. But they fall essentially a game and a half behind the Cardinals, and they do play the Cardinals later on in the season. Now, we talked about earlier this team right here. The Eagles are finding themselves. They're 5-6 right now. This is why I don't ever agree with rooting for division rivals early in the season. Oh, well, you should be rooting for the Eagles to beat the Buccaneers in week 4. Excuse me? Excuse me, no.
Right.
So, because if they get that victory, they're 6-5 right now, and they're only 2 games out of the first place in the East. So first things first is to lock up the East. It sounds easy, right? Okay, whatever. But we're seeing here, if you're compromised, you can fall back down that rank. So they have to take care of the East first. They still have 2 games against the Washingtons. They got another game against the Eagles and another game against the Giants. Still feel very confident that they'll win the East. And we're looking bigger picture.
But football has been an ugly girl this year.
Hasn't it?
Last Sunday, we was like, wait.
The Texans beat the Titans today.
Right.
Yeah. So you cannot take any of these weeks for granted. The Raiders are sliding now after they've been pretty good this year. We've seen the Bills lose to the Jags. We've seen the Titans lose to the Texans. We've seen the Washingtons beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So again, a lot of season left to play, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Dallas has to bounce back from this game, man. This is the Freeman Mazda post-game show. Cowboys lose 19-9 in an ugly victory. And hopefully they get a chance to bounce back, man.
She got that leather jacket on. I see you, though. Okay.
Final final parting shots from this game, Jesse.
This is one football game.
One game, man.
That's it. This is one football game, and I pray that the Cowboys will. It's a short turnaround, so you don't have much time to harp on this. If you're looking for a silver lining, that's it.
Yeah, tomorrow we
got to get. We're playing for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting off this plane tonight. Coaches are cutting this film up, like the Raiders film up tonight. Guys are watching
They
Raiders
probably
film.
already did that.
Guys are watching Raiders film tonight and getting ready tomorrow because that turnaround is so quick, man. You got to get your body healthy. You got to get your mind right. We got to stop beating ourselves. We got to stop beating ourselves, and we have to understand that the Raiders 5-5 or whatever their record is, 5-6.
I don't know what they are.
They're going to come to play.
Oh, yeah, they're going to come in pissed off. They're going to lost 2 games in a row.
They're going to come in and say, we're going to ruin the Thanksgiving of the Dallas Cowboys. They're not going to come in. I hope they come in and lay down, but I assume they're going to come in and try to beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day.
Now, we've seen and I meant to say this earlier when we talked about, we've seen them come back, bounce back from stinkers. They did it from Denver to Atlanta. Can they do it from here to there? And we've seen it with the offensive line. They were terrible against Denver, came back against Atlanta. They were good. Terrible today. Let's see if the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, Terrence, everyone really, I'm not just going to name just one. The whole entire line was not good today.
Yeah.
And if you look on the other side of the ball, I mean, I know Jonathan Hankins, not sure what he's doing, but Max Crosby is the guy. He's a game wrecker. We just saw Chris Jones is a game wrecker. They can have an effect on the game. So you cannot allow that to happen on Thursday. But you're right, man. They got to wash this one out, and not even just tomorrow, like tonight. Like you said, they're going to be cutting up that film and watching the Raiders probably tonight to get started because you really only have 3 days.
Yeah.
You got 3 days. All right, that will do it for the Freeman Mazda post-game show here at Texas Live. Jesse Holley, Skywalker Steel. It wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun one.
Flex, man.
Yeah, no, we can't flex today. We can't flex. Only person that can flex, people that can flex today, are the Chiefs fans, and they just got out of here.
They left.
They was bored in that game.
Yeah, they left. They're like, we're out of here.
Stinker, man. Hey, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning here on A to Z Sports Dallas for the morning show. We're going to talk about it. Y'all know it, so make sure y'all tune in, man.
No cookouts tomorrow.
Oh, no, ain't no cookouts. We're going to have a family meeting.
Yeah.